Very same day Claire got engaged to the man of her dreams, she handed me a one-way plane ticket to the Southwest. She told me I needed to get out and see the world, that I had to stop hanging on to her every move. I didn't argue with her. I just nodded and said, okay, doing exactly what I was told, like I always did. After I boarded the plane, I heard one of her friends ask her a question that stung. She asked what would happen if I never came back. Claire just laughed it off, scoffing at the very idea. She asked them if they really thought that was a possibility. Her whole group burst out laughing, agreeing with her. They talked about how I was completely under her thumb, how I loved her with every fiber of my being. To them, the idea that I could leave and stay gone was impossible. They couldn't imagine a world where I didn't return to her side. But they didn't know the truth. I really never went back. I completely disappeared from Claire's life. Much later, looking tired and worn out from travel, Claire eventually found me. She begged me to come home with her. But before I could even get a word out, a pair of arms wrapped tightly around my waist from behind, making it clear I belonged to someone else now. A voice said, "In your dreams." It all started when I was walking through the front door after dropping off a package. Claire and Todd were coming down the stairs together. I didn't catch what they were talking about, but they both had smiles on their faces, sweet enough to make anyone sick with jealousy. Claire called out to me, telling me to wait a second because she needed to talk. I was trying to slip past them without a confrontation. I stopped and looked at her, asking what it was. My voice was flat, completely void of emotion, like I was speaking to someone I had never met before. Claire flinched, noticing the tone, but she didn't dwell on it. She walked over to me, holding Todd's hand tightly. She told me that she and Todd were getting engaged. She paused for a moment, looking like she was having a hard time finding the right words for the next part. It wasn't until Todd tugged on her sleeve, clearly impatient, that she continued. She told me she had bought me a ticket to the Southwest. She said I should go have some fun for a few days and come back when I was ready. Then she looked at me with a serious, thoughtful expression, her forehead wrinkling. She told me I was an adult now, and I should see more of the world instead of clinging to her. In the past, whenever she said stuff like that, I thought she was just teasing. Now I knew she meant every single word. She must have been totally sick of me to ship me off across the country right during her engagement. I looked down at the floor and mumbled a quiet agreement. Satisfied with my reaction, Claire and Todd left. I went upstairs to my room alone. The place felt hollow. There was nothing left but a few changes of clothes. I had actually started packing my things the very day. Todd came back into our lives. I was the adopted son of the Miller family. When we were younger, Claire and I had a bit of a history. There was no way Todd was ever going to be okay with me hanging around. The day I left for the Southwest, the sun actually came out, which was rare for rainy Seattle. It felt like the weather was celebrating Claire finally getting rid of me, or maybe it was celebrating me finally escaping to a new life. Probably to avoid any weird tension, Claire had her friends drive me to the airport instead of taking me herself. The entire ride there, I just stared out the window without saying a word. Claire seemed to take my silence as me being difficult. She frowned and asked if I was still sulking. I glanced at her, genuinely confused. Why would she think that? I was leaving without putting up a fight. What more did she want from me? The confusion must have been clear on my face because her frown just got deeper. I started to say her name, but she cut me off before I could get a sentence out. She told me to call her Sis from now on because Todd didn't like it when I used her first name. I froze. Todd was petty enough to care about something like that? But under Claire's intense stare, I corrected myself and called her Sis. For some reason, That only made her look more annoyed. We got to the airport pretty fast. Right before I walked inside, Claire called out my name again. I turned around. She was standing in a spot where the light and shadows mixed, making it hard to see her expression clearly. She told me to come back soon. I just smiled, pretending I hadn't heard her. I gave a little wave and walked into the terminal. Once I was inside, Claire felt a sudden wave of irritation. She lit a cigarette, watching through the glass doors as I walked away, my figure getting smaller and smaller until I was gone. Her friend, the one she had dragged along to drive, joked and asked what she would do if I just didn't come back. Claire scoffed again, repeating that it wasn't even a possibility. Her friend's comment reminded the group of how I used to act, and they all started laughing. They agreed that I was a total pushover for Claire, that I was deeply in love with her and would never leave her for good. One of them bet that I was probably hiding somewhere crying my eyes out right then. Another said that crying wouldn't change anything since Claire was getting engaged the next day, and Todd would be our brother-in-law. Claire put out her cigarette. The nicotine didn't help calm her nerves. The loud chatting from her friends just made her more frustrated. She told them to stop, her voice cold. She didn't like them talking about Todd, and she liked them talking about me even less. Seattle is a long way from the Southwest. The flight took 6 hours. Claire had only bought the plane ticket. She hadn't booked a hotel or anything else. Luckily, I had found a local guide online before I left. After looking around the arrivals hall for a while, I finally saw her in a corner holding a sign with my name on it. As I walked closer, I saw that the guide was a young woman. She was tall and thin, wearing a black and white technical jacket that made her look sharp and professional. She was leaning against the wall, talking on her phone, and she looked slightly annoyed. I stopped a few feet away, not wanting to be rude and interrupt. 10 minutes later, she ended the call by sharply saying she wasn't going. She shoved her phone into her pocket and looked at me. The annoyance hadn't quite left her face. To avoid any confusion, I cleared my throat and pointed to the sign she was holding. I told her I was Jack, and that I hadn't wanted to bother her while she was on the phone. She paused for a second, then lowered the sign and took my suitcase. She held out her hand and introduced herself as Maya. I shook her hand gently and said it was nice to meet her. After the quick greeting, Maya and I got into her car. She was a really smooth driver, and I barely felt the bumps on the road. The long trip had wiped me out, so I leaned my head against the window and fell asleep. While I slept, I dreamed about the past, things I hadn't thought about in ages. In the dream, I had just been adopted by the Miller family. I was following Claire's mom nervously. She tried to hold my hand, but I pulled away. She called for Claire. Back then, Claire was just a sweet, innocent kid. She found me in the garden and held out her hand. She told me her name was Claire, and that I didn't need to be scared, because she would protect me. Her kindness worked, and I slowly took her hand. After that, we did everything together. Ate, slept, studied. Nobody messed with me. Claire's mom even teased us once at dinner, asking if she had brought home a little brother or a husband for Claire. We were teenagers by then, and there was this weird, unspoken romance developing between us. Neither of us had the guts to cross the line until her mom made that joke. That night, Claire snuck into my room and hugged me tight, asking if we could be together. I blushed and whispered, "Okay." Just like that, we started dating in secret. I thought we would be together forever, but then she went to study abroad, and when she came back, Todd was with her. She introduced me to him as her brother, Jack. I looked at her with a bitter taste in my mouth, but she only had eyes for Todd. I confronted her later, asking why she would do that to me. She just brushed it off, saying it was just teenage hormones and that she didn't actually love me. She said she didn't love me. That was the first time I really felt it, deep down. She didn't love me. But what could I do? She had Todd. Fate gave me another shot, though. She and Todd broke up for reasons nobody knew. Claire was miserable for a long time, and I stayed right by her side through it all. Finally, one night after she'd been drinking, she hugged me and asked if we could be together. Again. I agreed. She kissed me. A long, deep kiss. But when she tried to take it further, I pushed her away. She collapsed onto the bed, drunk, mumbling Todd's name over and over. My heart felt like it had been smashed into 1,000 pieces. The scene in my dream changed. Claire was excitedly telling me that Todd was back. I looked down and asked if she was going to go back to him. Her face got stiff for a second, and she told me I knew she had always been in love with Todd. I asked her about me, if I was just her brother again. She nodded, looking uncomfortable. I looked down and let out a sad laugh. She wasn't the girl who promised to protect me anymore. I don't know how long I was asleep. When I woke up, Maya's car was parked in a lot. Outside, the lights were bright and there were people everywhere. Maya didn't say anything. She just handed me a tissue. I looked at her, confused. I touched my face and realized it was wet with tears. I was embarrassed. I grabbed the tissue, wiped my face messily, and hurried out of the car. Losing it like that in front of a total stranger was humiliating. Maya called out to me to wait. I turned back, surprised. I didn't think we had any plans for the rest of the day. She told me she would take me to get some food. Her voice was soft, which helped calm me down. I said okay. Maya took me to a local place that served regional food. I rested my chin on my hand and looked around. It wasn't fancy, but it was cozy. I looked back at Maya. She was looking down at her phone, swiping through the screen with a little frown on her face. She only locked her phone when the waiter brought our food. I told her that if she had something to do, I could eat by myself. She glanced at me and smiled, asking if I was always this considerate. I told her I just didn't feel comfortable eating with strangers, and I was worried she had important business. She joked about me being considerate, and the corner of her mouth turned up a little. She seemed to think I was hard to get along with. The restaurant wasn't far from the hotel Maya had booked for me. I followed her silently. She was tall and walked fast. My leather shoes were starting to rub against my heels, and it hurt to keep up, so I started falling behind. These shoes were definitely the wrong choice for travel. I wasn't paying attention and tripped over a rock, twisting my ankle. I leaned against a parked car and tried to walk, but the pain was sharp. I stopped, looking down at my ankle, which was already swelling up. A cool voice asked from above me what was wrong. It was Maya. I told her I twisted my ankle. She asked if I could walk. I shook my head. She was quiet for a second, then patted her shoulder and told me to come on. She'd help me. I hesitated, but the pain didn't leave me much choice. I wrapped my arm around her neck and leaned my weight on her. She told me not to worry, that she wouldn't drop me. I didn't say anything. She supported me easily and walked, with steady steps. I glanced at her. Her smooth skin and sharp jawline were really beautiful. Claire seemed plain compared to her. It wasn't that Claire wasn't pretty. They were just different. Claire was like a delicate flower kept in a greenhouse. Maya had a quiet strength, like someone who had been through tough times. It was strange because she didn't look much older than me. Maya asked seriously if I liked what I saw. I smiled. Looking at her profile, I honestly answered yes. She stopped walking and looked at me. Compared to Claire, I was stunned. She asked if the name Claire, I said in my sleep, belonged to the person I loved. I told her not anymore. I didn't love Claire anymore. Maybe I had trouble letting go before, but now there was nothing left. I said no firmly. It felt like saying that word broke the chains holding me back. Maya raised an eyebrow and commented on how much pain I was in for someone I didn't love. I told her I was crying over how stupid I had been in my youth. She didn't say anything, just started walking again. After getting me to my room, Maya went downstairs to get my luggage. When she came back, she had a small first aid kit. I raised my eyebrows and asked if she was always this considerate. She opened the kit and said not nearly as considerate as me. I realized you couldn't judge a book by its cover. She looked quiet, but she had a sharp tongue. I rolled my eyes and leaned back on the sofa to check my phone. As soon as I unlocked it, messages poured in. It was Claire's friends congratulating her in the group chat. I copied the message and sent a generic "Congratulations on your engagement" too. The chat was moving so fast my message got buried immediately. Since I wasn't going back, there was no point in staying in the group, so I left it. My phone rang right away. It was Claire. She asked why I left the group and if I was still mad. It was loud in the background, so she probably wasn't home. I played with the hem of my shirt and asked if there was anything else because I was tired. She was quiet for a moment, then told me to get some rest. Just as I was about to hang up, she told me to come back soon. I hung up with a sarcastic laugh. She was the one who sent me away so I wouldn't ruin her party, and now she was telling me to come back. I tossed my phone aside and looked out the window. A voice asked why I was still there. I turned around. Maya was spraying something on my ankle. I asked why she was still there. Had she seen my melodramatic moment? She knelt down and started rubbing my ankle firmly. It hurt so bad I grimaced and told her to stop. She ignored me, saying I wouldn't be able to walk tomorrow if she didn't work it out. Her grip got softer, and I relaxed. It actually started to feel better. I asked her if she was a legitimate guide, massaging a male tourist's ankle at night. It seemed weird. She closed the kit and smiled strangely, saying that if I was looking for special services, she could provide those too. But it would cost extra. I was speechless at how blunt she was. She started to leave, and I grabbed the corner of her jacket. I looked up at her and said I'd pay extra. I don't remember who started it, but next thing I knew, Maya was on my bed. I tried to explain I was joking, but she grabbed my wrist and kissed me. I stared at her in a daze. She unbuttoned her shirt with a dignified expression. I stammered that I was kidding. She looked at me intensely and told me that goods once sold are non-refundable. She took my phone and transferred $1 to herself, calling it a forced sale. Then she leaned over me. When I woke up, it was sunny. Maya wasn't in the room. I checked my phone. My social feed was full of Claire's engagement party. There was a message from Claire saying she was getting engaged and would come get me in a few days. They were coming here? I stared at the ceiling. Maya walked in with the door opening. She was wearing the same clothes as yesterday. I got up awkwardly. She helped me to the sofa. I thanked her. She smiled and said she was responsible since she caused it. I cleared my throat and told her to think of last night as a fling and forget it. She looked me in the eye and asked if I meant it. I nodded. I said we should just go back to being guide and tourist. She laughed coldly and asked if I was trying to avoid responsibility. She told me it was her first time. I bit my lip and said it was mine too. She said she could take responsibility. I frowned. She meant marriage? She wanted to marry someone she'd known for a day? I told her I hoped our relationship would end there, and we could just be peaceful for the rest of the week. She looked cold and said, "As you wish." For the next few days, we were just tourist and guide. She showed me around the Southwest. When the week was up, I was getting out of the car. She asked where I was going next. I paused. It was the first time she'd started a conversation in days. I sat back down and said maybe Montana. She asked if I needed a ride to the airport. I said I might hitchhike. I got out, and she followed me to my room. I turned and said goodbye. She looked at me with an unreadable emotion and said she wanted to come in. Before I could say no, she pulled me into the room and slammed the door. She trapped me against the door and kissed me. The distance we kept all week vanished. In the dark, she whispered that she liked me. I didn't believe it. I thought it was just lust. Meanwhile, Claire was at her party, staring at her phone. I hadn't replied. She almost lit a cigarette, but remembered I hated the smell. Her friends asked what was wrong, betting she was thinking about me. They realized I hadn't been around in a long time. The room got quiet. Claire felt uneasy. She decided she would just wait a little longer, and then bring me home. Back in the car, I woke up dazed. Maya had shoved me in the car at dawn. We'd been driving for hours. I asked where we were going. She said Montana. I asked why. She reminded me I said I wanted to go there. She drove 5 hours to a small town called Crestwood. She told me it was her home. Her home? The car stopped at a house. She told me to get out. I asked why we were there. She smiled and said nobody was home and she'd show me around after we ate. I napped in the afternoon and woke up to a woman smiling at me. She asked if I was Maya's boyfriend. I was confused. She said Maya was her nickname. I held back a laugh. I told her I was just a client. The woman looked annoyed and muttered that Maya had lied about having a boyfriend to get out of a blind date. Then she smiled and told me to make myself at home. This was Maya's mom. Maya came home in the evening. Her mom immediately ordered her to carry food outside for guests. I tried to help, but her mom told me to sit. Maya argued with her mom, and her mom grabbed a feather duster, yelling about the lie. I stepped in to stop her mom from hitting her. Maya's mom calmed down out of respect for me. Maya grabbed me and pulled me into a room. She pinned me and asked why I told her mom I was a client. I asked what she was thinking. She covered my mouth and leaned in close. She kissed my neck. I told her she was crazy. She wasn't crazy. She held me for a few minutes, then let go. I went outside. Maya's mom told me she organized this dinner to set Maya up with a guy named Greg. So that's what this was. I sat in a corner. Guests arrived, including a handsome guy in a red shirt. That must be Greg. My heart fluttered with jealousy. My phone rang. It was Claire. She sounded tired and asked when I was coming back because she missed me. I told her I had removed my name from the family registry and I wasn't coming back. She was stunned. She asked if I was just angry and promised not to marry Todd. I told her the problem was her, not Todd. She asked if I ever loved her. Just then, Maya walked out. Claire demanded an answer. I looked at Maya and said softly, I did. I used to love Claire, but now... Maya walked away. I sat there until dinner. There was a bonfire. Greg was playing guitar and singing. People whispered that Maya's mom set this up to lock Greg down for Maya. I felt out of place and slipped away to a meadow. I lay on the grass, looking at the moon. I opened a booking app to leave. Suddenly, my phone was snatched away. It was Maya. She asked why I was leaving. I said she was getting engaged. She asked when she got engaged. She told me I was the one she liked. She looked lonely in the moonlight. She asked me not to make her fall in love with me, and then abandon her. I realized she really had feelings for me. I hugged her. I decided to stay. I bought a house in Montana. Maya wanted me to move in with her, but I wanted my own place. Maya designed my yard. Turns out she was a world-famous designer. She showed me her awards. I asked why she was a guide. She teased me and revealed I had typed her number, wrong when I tried to hire a guide, and she just played along because she liked my profile picture, which was one of her designs. It was a ridiculous coincidence. Around the new year, Maya moved in with me, declaring she was going wherever I went. One sunny day, I was relaxing in the yard. The gate bell rang. I opened my eyes and saw Claire. She looked terrible. She told me she and Todd broke up and begged me to come back. She asked to start over. I stood up. Maya walked out and held my hand. I placed my hand on Maya's stomach and told Claire we were expecting. Claire was shocked. Maya was 3 months pregnant with twins. I told Claire I didn't love her anymore and she needed to leave. Claire thought I was lying. Maya looked at her coldly and said, "In your dreams." Claire collapsed, heartbroken. I told her to go. That time would heal her. I led Maya back inside. Claire left, finally realizing she had lost me forever. After that, Maya got insecure. She kept asking if I loved her. It drove me crazy. I told her yes over and over. She called me a liar and said I used to love Claire. I told her that was the past. She followed me to the bedroom asking if I loved her. I told her I loved her, completely at my wits' end.
E benvenuti. Così ve la pensate? In questa nuova live di Bloodborne. Allora, off camera, cosa abbiamo fatto? Cosa ho fatto? Ho farmato tutte le pozioni. Ho tutte le pozioni possibili. Ne ho 600. Ok? Ne ho 600. Vediamo quanto dureranno quest'oggi. Poi ho livellato un po', perché nel mentre ho farmato pure le cose per pompare l'arma. E in più ho trovato questo. In realtà c'era qualcuno che parlava.
Surprise, motherfucker!
Surprise, Ale, buonasera. Buonasera e... basta, buonasera. Come va?
Bentornato, che cosa...
Non